Just got off the phone moments ago with the U.S. Marshal's Office. They confirmed to us here at WWL Louisiana that he is, in fact, back in custody, that he was taken back into custody in the Holly Grove neighborhood. And investigative reporter Mike Pearlstein is joining me on the set this afternoon. You just got off the phone with them. Tell me what else you know. This happened in Holly Grove, as I mentioned.
Right in the 9400 block of Strolitz, not far from the Costco on the way to Metairie Road. This was all within the past hour, so this is very fresh news and information. Antoine Massey was found inside of a residence. He was alone. According to Brian Fair of the U.S. Marshal Service, he was captured without incident. In fact, he gave himself up once surrounded by law enforcement. This actually came from a Crime Stoppers tip, Katie. So
wow.
That a $50,000 reward had been offered for some weeks now. They had been waiting on tips, in fact, pursuing some of them unsuccessfully until today. This tip panned out. Somebody will be collecting $50,000. It came through Crime Stoppers. Other agencies involved, the U.S. Marshals were kind of leading the search, but instrumental and at this residence were representatives of the New Orleans Police Department, Louisiana State Police, U.S. Marshals, of course, along with GPSO, not far from the Jefferson Parish border.
That's right on the line.
They assisted. Obviously, they were taking, no chances or risks with this particular escaped inmate being considered potentially armed, potentially dangerous. But it ended peacefully. He's now back in custody.
Wow.
Obviously, he'll be facing a charge of escape in addition to the previous charges for which he was being held at the Orleans Justice Center of domestic violence that included rape.
Yes, absolutely. Now, this area that we were looking at on your screen, this is a map where that house is, where Antoine Massey, one of the Orleans Justice Center escapees, was taken back into custody. If you're just joining us, that happened just a few moments ago. This area is really not too far from Xavier University's campus, which may be a bit unnerving for some parents out there who may be watching this, to know that Antoine Massey was hiding out in a house right there, not that far from the Costco, where a lot of people frequent. Hundreds, thousands of people go through that Costco every day. And apparently, Antoine Massey did not get far when they escaped from the Orleans Justice Center.
And remember,
all 10 of them.
It was kind of assumed in the case of Antoine Massey in particular that he may not have gone far. We saw that previously he posted a video of himself on social media that was identified as a house near the fairgrounds, which was promptly descended upon by the law enforcement agencies. He had not been there, so assumed that
they caught him, you guys.
That it was sometime earlier before he posted it. But that gave them an idea that he probably had not fled across state lines or anything further. What is interesting, we've seen in many of these other escapees, accomplices arrested, booked with accessory to the escape. Right now, no such other people known to be involved in helping him, assisting him. Nobody was at that house in that Holly Grove area when they descended upon it to make that arrest. He gave himself up peacefully. Now, of course, we'll see once they debrief Antoine Massey if he provides any additional information. He was considered, Katie, one of the masterminds
we learned that.
Escape.
We learned that, yes.
How the fuck y'all know?
They've arrested several other people. And
how the fuck y'all gonna say that?
As we've continued to cover this.
And he
took your ass on the run for a minute.
Popping up on social media. There have been many tips generated about his whereabouts, including the one himself going on social media. They were able to, pinpoint a house there. It's now almost 6 weeks since that escape. It is really considered
6 weeks, so a month and 2 weeks.
Up until today,
he been gone. He been out.
The other escapees still at large managed to stay out for so long with such a large reward being offered.
Apparently, one tip is all it took.
That's right. And,
snitch.
That is always the kind of mystery of being a fugitive how many people know of
Whoever the
warehouse,
fuck you was,
who
you
do
was a
trust?
snitch.
Well,
See how that motherfucking
apparently,
man's business.
I don't know if it was
Half
him
the time
letting
these
his guard
hoes be out
down,
here lying about what a
somebody
man had done to
deciding
them.
50,000
She probably was
attempting
lying
to
about.
pass up, but
Man,
it
he
was in
probably
fact
answering like a
crime service tip.
motherfucker.
And Brian Fair, the spokesman for the U.S.
I hope
Marshal
he,
Service,
man.
said that reward will be collected by the tipster.
Yeah, well,
Hope it
obviously
ain't
there's
nobody
still a
he know.
$50,000 reward for information out for Derek Groves.
Well, he's been caught, you
considered
guys.
the other mastermind behind this operation. We
I don't
do
wish
know
nothing
that
on.
Groves had an
I don't wish
ex-girlfriend who
none
was
of this
actually
on no
an employee at the
motherfucker going to jail,
correct?
man.
And she was a guard
He
at
kept
one
you
point, has
motherfuckers
since
on the
been
run for
fired.
over a month.
However, that's the only person that we've known with ties to Groves. Now, if he and Massie were the two who coordinated this escape, there are going to be a lot of questions, asked and hopefully answered by Massie now that he's in custody.
And certainly, the more that time passed from that May 16th escape, the more the law enforcement was operating on the theory that the escaped inmates had gone their separate ways. They were no longer, say, together in hiding. The last pair were the two arrested in Texas. They got the furthest of anyone we know so far. And they were together in a car, arrested by authorities in Texas. But everyone else had been arrested separately. Generally, if you're going to cover your tracks and remain in hiding, the fewer people that know, the better.
Sure.
Acting in concert with another person could also put them in jeopardy of being caught.
Yes.
Massie was again caught.
Well, you guys, he's been caught.
Block
Wow.
of Strollers in Hollygrove by himself in a residence. And just
crazy,
generally,
man.
it's almost kind of on the edge of Lakeview, on the way to Metairie Road.
It's what women to get you involved
behind
in.
the Costco.
Women get you caught up in some crazy, fucked up shit, man.
Yeah,
For real.
Not really like you, but uptown. It's closer to Hollygrove, uptown,
Right.
and other areas like that. Now, just a few moments ago, you were looking at a booking photo for one of the plumbers who was working at the jail, who has been accused of.
Guess this is where they
helping
caught
these
him at, you
inmates
guys.
escape. Now that affidavit in his arrest.
Get
is
them
really
likes
got a
up.
tremendous
Let's
amount
get
of
them likes up, you guys.
about how
Damn, they didn't call
this
my boy.
breakout happened, and
He was
that's
out
when we
a
first
month and
learned
2 weeks.
That Massie and Groves may have been the two that were the ringleaders behind this, and that they had been working together, that they had confronted this plumber allegedly. Plumber now tells a different story through his attorney, so all of those details are going to play out in court. I think that's when we're finally going to figure out exactly what happened, but you would assume that the U.S. Marshal's Office, the NOPD, every law enforcement agency, Louisiana State Police, which Truth NOLA has been essential in all of this, that they are all questioning Massie, that they are going to try and get as much information out of him as possible about, number one, how this went down, and number two, where Derek Groves might be.
And you mentioned in the case of the Sterling Williams, the maintenance man at the jail who was arrested, and in fact he was the first of the non-escapees to be arrested as a helping or an accomplice.
Yes.
And the initial account, I'm glad you used the word allegedly, because that's now in some dispute by his own attorney, but his allegation that he told detectives at the time of his arrest was that he was threatened with a shank, a crude homemade prison knife, that under that threat he turned off the water so that the inmates could crawl through a hole that they, I guess, punched through a wall of an empty cell behind a toilet and sink fixture. Later, once he got to court, his attorney gave a different account, that it was a matter of a plumbing issue,
too easy,
that led to him turning off the water.
He even said he was not threatened with a shank by these two inmates. That's what the lawyer said in prison, in court once Sterling Williams went to court. So this is definitely in dispute, not completely 100% fact at this point, but that is what law enforcement believed, and that is what was contained in that arrest affidavit.
But we do know, obviously, Antoine Massey was
too easy,
LOL.
and
Wow. Obviously some risk there on going on social media, giving a lengthy account in which, as you recall, he said, "I didn't escape, I was let out," led to obviously another sequence of questions as to who might have been involved. Obviously, Sterling Williams is facing the charges of aiding the escape. Were there others? The Attorney General's office is deep into a criminal investigation into whether there was other inside help. But by all accounts, Antoine Massey He was vocal when he was on that tier prior to all of this. He was vocal when he popped up on that social media claiming innocence in the underlying charges that put him there, domestic violence, up to and including a rape charge, as well as the escape itself. Kind of hard to make that argument while a fugitive on the run when you're not where you're supposed to be in custody. But nevertheless, we heard it, he said it, I didn't escape, I was let out.
Yes, he also has a lengthy rap sheet as well for prior crimes in addition to what he's facing now.
And you know, important to note that among the priors were 2 escapes, one from a jail and one from a juvenile detention center, as well as twice cutting off an electric ankle bracelet when he was out on bail. And so he's considered a 4-time escapee before this.
Which of course raises a lot of questions about the security of the jail, and we've been asking those as this has all played out about Susan Hudson and whether or not, you know, decisions were being made to house these people in a secure enough position that they required, given that 10 of them were able to escape and be undetected for hours when this first all unfolded. Oh,
so many questions, and we have multiple parallel investigations. You know, the AG kind of taking the lead on the criminal investigation into whether there was other inside help. But they, as we know from the very beginning, going over all of the video from inside the jail, that tier in particular, going and listening to the recorded telephone conversations that the inmates can make, you know, when they're locked up. And that has actually led to a lot of, you know, relevant clues and tips, unknown if that played a role in Massey, but I understand it was just a tip that finally came that pinpointed his location. They acted on it quickly here, middle of the afternoon on a Friday in an otherwise peaceful residential neighborhood.
This happened.
And now we turn our attention to the one remaining escapee, Derrick Rose.
We do, yes, and we're going to
Derrick
talk
Rose, he's smart. Because he wanted for murder. So he ain't fucking with y'all. Y'all ain't gonna catch him. He ain't finna do what Yellow Boy did.
We know, and as we've been reporting, we now know that Antoine Massey was taken into custody on Strolett Street. Amelia Strahan is at the scene. She's joining us live now.
Here we go, you guys.
Latest on what's happening
I'm the
out there.
first
Amelia,
to post this on Facebook, YouTube.
Or at least there was.
From the #1 rated brand in cordless outdoor power, the Ego 22-inch aluminum deck mower with Select Cut is the most powerful mower in its class, featuring an aluminum deck that allows for extreme blade speeds, producing the perfect razor-sharp cut. Designed for durability that's guaranteed for life. All power.
Yeah, Katie, I believe it has mostly cleared out from what we can see here from the 9400 block of Strolett Street. We're told Antoine Massey's around 6 weeks on the run have come to a close now. And we actually checked the distance from Orleans Justice Center, and we're only about 1.5 miles away. So after over a month on the run, he was located here on Strolett Street in the Holly Grove neighborhood. We're told multiple law enforcement agencies were involved.
He was still there.
We're also told that he did not put up any kind of fight. Now, NOPD is going to have the latest information on this arrest and on the inmates on the run tonight at 5:30. And of course, WWL is going to have our Lily Cummings there, so we'll learn more about how the arrest went down here on Strolett Street in Holly Grove. Now that, of course, just leaves Derrick Groves left on the run. This makes 9 of the 10 inmates that escaped Orleans Justice Center back in May captured. So now 6 weeks after big development, I believe this is actually 6 weeks to the day or very close to it, and again found just about 1.5 miles away from the Justice Center. So we're looking forward to learning more details about this arrest. But again, for what we know now, Massie did not put up a fight with law enforcement,
so
and he was arrested here on the 9400 block of Strolett Street. Like I said, law enforcement to have cleared out of this area, but hopefully we'll learn more now that we know there were multiple law enforcement agencies involved. I'm sure when this arrest happened, it was a heavily patrolled area. So as we get those updates, we will keep you updated.
Yeah, y'all run for y'all motherfucking money.
6 weeks since
6 weeks,
escape.
7 weeks for real.
What the NOPD has to say tonight at 5:30.
Amelia, can you pan around and show us what the neighborhood looks like in that area? I'm just curious if it's just a regular residential neighborhood, or was he sitting in the middle of a bunch of houses of people who just had no idea that he was in there? I think a lot of people at home might have those same questions. So what does the neighborhood look like where you are?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me step out of the frame really quickly so you guys can kind of get a better look. There are other news crews here as well. Everyone's interested to see what happened here. It looks like a lot of just residential, there's a bunch of houses. There are some people with nicely kept gardens over there. It looks like a really peaceful street. We've seen a few families come in and out of their houses, so it's not exactly the kind of place you would expect someone to hide. It looks very peaceful, very, like a family-friendly area. Like I said, we've seen a few people come in and out, not heavily trafficked. Again, is a Strolitz Street, 9400 block, Holly Grove. Again, very residential area, and it appears to be peaceful right now, Katie.
Yeah, it's really interesting. There's a high fence. If that is the correct address, I'm assuming that you're standing in front of. There's a high fence there. Looks like the yard is well kept. It raises all these questions about whether or not he was in an abandoned house, whether or not someone who owned the house knew that he was staying in there.
Somebody snitched on him.
Are all being asked by law enforcement tonight. But it's very interesting that it's already cleared out. They must have swooped in and cleared out, Amelia.
That's exactly what we thought whenever we pulled up. We were expecting to see a lot of cars, and it was clear. But again, we know there were multiple law enforcement agencies, and they've had their eyes on this guy for a long time. So hopefully that arrest was swift. Like we are hearing from law enforcement, he didn't put up a fight. That may be part of why the scene has already cleared. And of course, after so many weeks of hard work by our law enforcement agencies, we're happy to hear that it seemed to be a smooth arrest for the most part.
Who live over there?
What we're hearing from law enforcement right now.
I wonder.
To get more information. Now, as far
how
as
they figure out he was at their house.
High fence. I'm not 100% sure that is the home. We're told.
Well, why your dumb ass standing in front of you, stupid bitch?
That's a question that we will hear more from NOPD about tonight. But again,
well, you dumbass news broadcasters, boy.
Well kept. Looks like
y'all be on some bullshit. It must be the house because I see the news people over there.
That have been arrested. So it'll be interesting to see, if he was here alone, if he was with someone, if he had help. All of those questions.
Mass might snitched on him.
Now, but hopefully we have more from NOPD tonight at 5:30.
All right, thanks so much, Amelia. And a lot of those neighbors are going to have a lot of questions themselves about what was happening at that house next door. So thank you so much for that.
None of y'all business.
Just getting into the WWL Louisiana newsroom, the latest picture that we have of Antoine Massey after he was captured. You can see it here on your screen right now. It appears that heavily armed law enforcement officers took him into custody again peacefully this afternoon, from what we hear from the U.S. Marshal's office. That is Massie with handcuffs on, being walked by those heavily armed law enforcement. I can't tell which agency. It looks like it just says police on their vests from where I'm standing. But, this is a picture that we got just into the WWL Louisiana newsroom. And you can see underneath the super that's on your screen, that banner at the bottom of your screen, law enforcement agency insignias mentioned there. 5 of them, 5 different law enforcement agencies, all apparently working together to bring this escaped inmate back into custody. He is now going to be facing a number of other charges in addition to the ones that he was already in Orleans Justice Center for, awaiting trial, Mike.
Well, certainly the escape, and I know that he has an opportunity. He was very vocal when he posted that social media video about claiming his innocence and wanting to fight charges against him, including the escape, which he said he was let out. It'll be interesting to see if he's that vocal when being debriefed by the investigators.
He will.
Have been chasing him, and really, I can tell you, pursuing tips that we heard of a few early on that came up empty. I can tell you, I spoke to law enforcement this week The tips did continue to roll in much more quietly. They very intentionally wanted to give the impression that the heat was turned down a bit, maybe hoping for either Groves or Massey to let their guard down, slip up. What would be interesting, I know that we're going to check the neighbors where he was finally captured in that residence. My guess is that they probably did not know a thing.
I would think. Can you imagine finding out that one of the escapees is hunkered down next door? I imagine that's terrifying.
For one, here's a guy who had successfully, eluded law enforcement up to this point, so he certainly wasn't signaling where he was, and with a $50,000 reward hanging over your head, any neighbor who got wind that, hey, Antoine Massey is here, I can call this tip in and get some money. On top of that, Antoine Massey, as we've seen from the photographs and his mugshot especially, has very visible facial tattoos.
He's very distinctive in his appearance because of those tattoos on his face, and so it's crazy to think about the fact that he was one of the last two captured, given how recognizable he is. So it just makes you wonder, what's been going on throughout this time, how he has managed to, get information. Now we want to go to Amelia Strahan again, so let's listen in to the interview that she's doing right now.
It's a sensitive situation, but I guess your thoughts, this is an inmate, inmate that has been on the run for quite some time. If you can.
It's a black lady.
Your thoughts on Antoine Massey being here on your property?
I don't know what's going on, sir. I don't know. I really don't.
Gotcha.
Are you shocked? I'm very shocked, yes. I don't want to be on the news. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, right. You probably want to turn to me in.
What's happening? I get a call and I'm just coming and everything's over. I really don't know. All I know is they found the guy here and that's it. I don't know what's going on.
Do you live there?
Just here when you got here?
I just got here right now.
You just got there?
It's cleared out.
I don't know.
What?
When I get out, I just don't want to be on camera. That's all.
Yeah.
So police told you it was at this address?
Yes.
Do you know anything about the tenant?
There's no tenant here. It's just a family house. Like I say, I'll normally do Airbnb, but I'll keep it open. I just keep it open all the time because we have a gate.
It was a B.
I don't know anything.
B&B?
I really don't. I don't know anything.
Yeah, right.
How many units is this? Two units, and you own it?
Yes, I own it.
Yeah, she probably turned to me in, y'all. She probably turned to me in. That's why she didn't want her ass on camera. She probably turned to me in. Oh, there she go. There she go. She probably turned to me in, you guys.
I understand. Would you mind saying a few words with us if we don't put your face on the camera?
It's too late now. It's too fucking late now. Her face on the camera. We see her. She probably the one who called.
Said she really didn't want to go on camera.
Yeah.
So trying not to
Too
show
late.
her face there.
Too late.
Apparently that's where Antoine Massey was hiding out.
Wow.
And that's where he was taken into custody.
At her
Very interesting
B&B,
that even
as
the
she
property
called
owner
it.
was not told by law enforcement what was going down when it was going down.
Yeah, right.
So that tells you just how much they had to secretly inject themselves
What
into
y'all
that
think?
situation.
Y'all think she called them on him?
Onto him. Go in there, get him peacefully, and get him out of there as quick as they can.
I think she called in on him.
From a house that they approached earlier this week, this was on a Derek Groves tip.
Yes.
That law enforcement did assemble in force with multiple different agencies, and they very, very intentionally did not make, say, a SWAT scene or surround a house. They kept it completely kind of
quiet,
almost like undercover surveillance to determine if, in fact, Derek Groves was at that location.
Right, and
he was not.
We're going to go back out to Amelia again. Apparently, she's got some more information for us.
Oh,
so, Amelia,
Lord, look how she
what you got for us?
And explain the situation because
You might as well show her face.
We're actually talking to the woman who
Yep.
owns the. Let's turn the camera this way.
No, don't matter now. We see her.
Owns the Airbnb where Antoine Massey was allegedly found. She doesn't want her face on camera. We want to respect her request.
Too late.
I'm gonna get Robin to put the camera back down, and we're gonna ask her a few questions. You guys can listen in.
Thumbs up, you guys. They too late. They not ready to show her face. Oh my God, Lord have mercy.
A lot of people we spoke to say they were just talking to someone just cutting grass here earlier today, and then this happened.
Yeah, it's a pretty quiet neighborhood. It's kind of shocking. But hey, things like this happen. You just have to.
Yeah, right.
be careful, I guess, you know.
Have you seen any signs of this? Anything suspicious?
Seen any signs? No.
And it's only one tenant you were telling us that lives here.
Yes, only one tenant.
And
who's that tenant?
When you were closing the gate, that Antoine Massey might have run in, broken in.
Right, because I'm frustrated too. I don't know what's happening. They say this is going on, and I get here and I don't even see a cop. So, you know, so I don't know.
So, and what do you know about the family? Do you know anything about the family?
What's about the family?
Staying there?
No, I don't know anything about that.
Who actually called
you? You got to know about the family, lady.
At your property.
My friend called me. A friend of mine. I guess it's all over the news and they know my property.
Did you see the whole arrest happen, or just the law enforcement presence?
It's the law enforcement. Yeah.
In your message to NOPD, you weren't even really notified.
I don't have a message anymore. I'm really, you know, I'm shocked right now. Sorry.
Yeah, right.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
All right,
right.
now pull the.
I think she the one that called in on her.
Like we mentioned,
she owned the B&B.
Quiet street. Now we just.
I think she told on you, big dog.
The Airbnb.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get us to turn around really quickly. You can see there's a really high gate here. She says that she knew nothing about this until her neighbor called. She says it is 2 units in this the property, but there was only one family staying there. Now she said she doesn't know what happened. She doesn't know if he broke in. She doesn't know if there's any association with the family. She said she is really in the dark right now. She wasn't on the property when this happened, and she pulled up and there were unmarked vehicles in the driveway. So again, Antoine Massey, like we've said, 6 weeks on the run, 1.5 miles from the Justice Center. This is where he was arrested.
A mile and a half?
Block
What the
of
fuck?
Street in the Holly Grove neighborhood. Again, we were talking to the woman that owns the Airbnb where he was allegedly arrested, and she said that it's a really quiet neighborhood, and she used the word several times, shocked. She said, I am shocked to hear that this happened. She said, I never expected it would happen on my property.
Yeah,
so she didn't want to show her face on camera.
It's too late. We already see her face.
Situation for her.
Stupid
really
ass.
Off guard. She wasn't able to share much about the family that lives in this Airbnb, or was staying in the Airbnb at the time, rather. But she did say it's a 2-unit property. Only one of them was occupied, and we're waiting to hear more details from police. Now, I want to give you guys a look at the neighborhood, because like she mentioned, it looks pretty quiet. I'm going to walk you down the street here. There aren't a lot of people outside. There are some, it looks like, homes over here, really well-kept yards. We've seen a few families walk in and out.
That yard look like it need to be cut.
Quiet area.
All that goddamn grass over there growing.
This pretty tall fence, very well-kept.
Man.
The woman who owns the Airbnb again said she was completely shocked whenever she found out that he was located here. Of course, she's been watching this on the news, so it was kind of one of those I never expected it to happen to me kind of moments. Again, we are told he did not put up a fight. When we got here, there was no law enforcement presence. There were no cop cars, no investigators. So because we're told that he did not put up any kind of fight, we're wondering if it was, maybe a swift arrest. Now, the owner of the property said that she was not notified by police. She was notified by a neighbor. So a lot of questions here. But again, she used the word shocked several times, was very cooperative. So it'll be interesting to hear what we hear from NOPD tonight at 5:30. I believe our Lily Cummings is going to be at that press conference. We're supposed to hear more about this arrest, what happened, and again, we're waiting to hear more information about, what kind of tips led to this. There are still a lot of questions, but again, this is 6 weeks after the escape. Derek Groves is the only inmate left on the run out of the 10 that escaped.
And he ain't gonna get caught.
So this could be coming to a close soon. So we'll have those latest updates tonight at 5:30. Emily Strahan, be well, Louisiana.
He caught the boy, y'all.
Thank you so much, Amelia, for bringing us new detailed information.
There you have it.
Let's just recap really quickly. If you're just joining us, Antoine Massey, as you can see on your screen right now, was taken into custody by the U.S. Marshals Service this afternoon at around 4:30, maybe a little earlier, sometime after 4 o'clock today, let's say.
Wow.
In a house in Holly Grove. It's an Airbnb. Half of that duplex was rented, and the property owner who just showed up at the scene said that she had no idea that Antoine Massey was holed up in one side of that duplex. There's a large privacy fence that surrounds the house where Antoine Massey was taken back into custody. I'm assuming that was one of the reasons that he was hiding out there. But what we're hearing is that the U.S. Marshal Service and 5 different law enforcement agencies worked together today to respond to a Crime Stoppers tip that led them straight to that house, to Antoine Massey. Investigative reporter Mike Perlstein has been with me on set talking about how this capture took place today.
There you guys
what
have
we've
it.
learned so far as we continue to get new details about that. 5:30, as Amelia mentioned, is when we are expecting the NOPD and law enforcement agencies to hold a more detailed press conference.
So y'all going to share this with all the YouTube bloggers?
And you know, I certainly expect that now that Massey's in custody, there will be a reminder of.
So y'all can go and share this.
And he was often considered perhaps.
Shut the fuck up. You don't know what the fuck you talking about. So y'all can go share this with y'all YouTube bloggers who've been talking about this young man who escaped, which he said some motherfuckers let him out. I think it was an inside job too. You know what I'm saying? And what he's being charged with, you know, yeah, some men have a problem with, you know, controlling their emotions and all that shit with these women. So, men, you got to learn how to control your emotions with these fucking women. Because a woman will set your motherfucking ass up for fucking failure. I am not fucking bullshitting you guys. I'm not going to keep telling you motherfuckers over here. I had a motherfucking woman almost cause me to lose 40 to 35 years of my fucking freedom, you guys. It's 7 people in the room. Yeah, y'all leaving the room now because the fucking truth is coming out. Women will set your ass up to fall on your motherfucking face. And the crazy thing is, the bitch that fucking almost caused me my motherfucking freedom was my fucking ex-wife. So you guys, and you young guys who's coming up today, you got to be careful with these little young ass little females. Because they already hot, they already think they the shit, and think you owe them something, and think you supposed to jump when they say jump. I'm talking to all the little young ass bucks today who thinking they cool and they fine because they packing a pistol or they driving this ride and they can get any female they want. Keep doing it. See, you see what the fuck this young man is up against. They was looking for this young man like he murdered a motherfucker. He's in there for what? Supposedly sexually assault, abuse. Basically almost the same fucking charges, you guys, that I was getting charged with from a stupid ass fucking female. You know what? I got the fuck away from her and I left her the fuck alone. She lucky I didn't have my sister in them to whoop her motherfucking ass. But I'm just gonna keep it real with you guys. This is AJ. I told you I'm gonna bring you some real ass videos and I'm gonna share some real ass shit over here on my timeline. And if I share your videos and I talk about your video, that means I fuck with you. I respect you and I appreciate how you move. But we as men, we need to step up to the motherfucking plate and realize we need to take a step back and realize that these motherfucking women got mouth. They mouth run too much. They talk too much. And you guys see it now. Half of these fucking females setting these young guys up to get murked, robbed, all this shit. Now we got this young man, he crying out to President Trump. He crying out to Cardi B, every motherfucking body to help him. And it seemed like they was looking for this young man for murder. Now the other one, they ain't found his ass. They ain't gonna find him because they trying to say he did some murder and shit. Allegedly. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna find him. That nigga gone. He's under a rock. He's nowhere. He's gone to Gonda. He's over in Gonda. I'm telling you. He ain't fucking around, staying around, hour, 20 minutes away from the fucking jail that he gets broke out of. He got the fuck out of. They just found this young man not too far from the fucking jail. I think this lady fucking snitched on him. And then they talk about, we don't want to put her on camera. Well, too fucking late, you done already put the lady on camera. But with that being said, you guys, all to my young brothers, what looks good ain't always good for your little young ass. Keep your dick in your pants. And always remember, a female can set your ass up for failure. to fall on your motherfucking face, to lose your fucking freedom, as well as your fucking life. And this coming from a real motherfucking OG. I almost lost my freedom. What, 25 years ago, 25 years ago, to a woman who says she loved me, she want to be with me forever, and set me up and say I did this and done it, and come find out she fucking lied on me, and I couldn't even fucking prosecute this fucking stupid ass female. So, young man, be careful who you fucking with, and guess cause that woman look good, don't mean it's always good. But as y'all can see, this young man has been caught. So I don't wish none of this shit on no brother or no sister. Especially if we got a lot of innocent motherfuckers who really is in jail for real. And we got a lot of motherfuckers who really need to be in fucking jail. So, but with that being said, we gonna leave this on another note. And you guys go check it out. Go follow them. Thank you for letting me, I don't give fucks you get mad as I shared this video on my timeline. But, you know, I was waiting till this day came, you know, because I see a lot of people showing his video, been following this young man and hoping that he didn't get caught. Shit, he stayed out, at least he stayed out past his birthday. But I think that lady at that B&B has something to do with getting him caught. With that being said, hey, y'all be easy and keep your head on swivel. And always remember, don't trust everybody, because somebody always out there want to hate on you and always want to see you fall on your face. And they good for kicking you when you're down on your luck. Till then, until next video, peace. We out of here. See you guys. Just keeping it real.